And we're live. Okay, so I wanted to stay consistent with this and try to start doing more live streams because I know you guys enjoy it. Now, I only have like a half an hour or so, so I'm going to kind of get to the list pretty quick here. But, of course, I want to see who gets in here first. But yeah, found footage is something that I've always been a big fan of. I mean, when I saw Blair Witch Project in '99, at that time, I want to say that was the first found footage flick that I had seen. And because I know the last broadcast did come out before it, but it wasn't really released until after, like on DVD or well, VHS at that time. But there's something about found footage. I know people hate it, that there's some people that hate it for sure. And they think it's cheap and this and that. And it can be, for sure. There's no doubt about that. But the problem is that too many people with no money run out and make a film and then make us sit through it. But as I always say, I feel like the quality of found footage films versus the quality of the shitty found footage, like if you were to stack them up together, percentage wise, they kind of even out to about as much as how many good movies they release versus how many bad movies they release in a typical, normal, straightforward video. So for me, I don't feel like found footage is that much worse percentage-wise with the films that they make in the genre. The reason that I like it is that A, it gives it a new perspective, and B, is because it's the most immersive feeling of a film to me. I have not seen Hacks On? Hacks Off? I do know the film though. Isn't it spelled with an E? Is it not? I don't know. Hey Mimsy. And hey Nikki, and hey everybody else that said hi. Sorry, I was just trying to get through that. But yeah, I just think that it's so immersive. And I really genuinely feel like I'm there. I always feel, hey Ashley. I'm looking for Ashley's text throughout this video in case anyone starts to see me stumble over my words. She knows what I'm talking about. But when I'm watching them, especially, okay, I'll say, when I saw Paranormal Activity in the theater, there was something about the atmosphere and the tension in that theater. It's not something that I've felt much before. There was something, it was so realistic to me. It felt so real, even though it's ridiculous and of course but I don't know, there was something about the format and the whole idea behind people being fucked with while they sleep. There's nothing you can do while you're sleeping. It's such a vulnerable state. I mean, that's why Freddy worked for so many people. But just setting up a camera and seeing what happens while you sleep. Just a basic thing. You know, there's that statistic where you swallow a spider or something or two or something every year or something. I would not want to see that footage. But I mean, and there's going to be people who just are found footage is shit. You know, the movies that you've listed are garbage. That's okay. I mean, if you're watching a list like this, I would at least hope you're open to them. Or maybe you're just here to talk shit. Hey, that's fine. I go to Lee McCoy from Drum Dum's channel and just go there to talk shit to him all the time. That's why I join his live streams, is just to talk shit because I love him and I like talking shit. So we're just going to kind of jump right into the list here. Now, I had a hard time arranging these, of course, as always, and the honorable mentions were starting to get so out of control that I was like, man, I really want to give some credit to VHS 2, and I really want to give some credit to, because VHS 2, if it was just the safe haven segment, that might be like top 3, number 1. I don't know. That's the best. That's the best segment. I mean, that fucking segment blew me away when I saw it. I mean, just incredible. The rest of the movie is very good, and I would love to put that on the list. It would make a top 15 for sure, as would like The Devil's Doorway. And The Devil's Doorway is a really cool film that I don't feel like anyone talks about. And it's a very unique found footage film because it's set in like the 70s or the 60s. So it's all done on like 8mm or whatever fucking footage that they're using. And it's like these priests that go to this like nunnery or something, and they're like trying to, it's been a little while since I've seen it, but they're trying to like prove whether or not they've had a stigmata or something like that. And I just loved it. The Safe Haven in Jonestown, kind of. It's like a compound. It's in Indonesian, if I remember correctly. It's directed by Gareth Evans, who did The Raid 1 and 2 and The Night Comes for Us, and Moranto, and freaking Apostle on Netflix. Check out all his films. And the guy who helped him direct that actually also directed. Oh, I'm sorry. The director who did The Night Comes for Us also worked with Evans, who did Raid 1 and 2. Anyway, sorry. But okay, so as I said, I'm not going to get into an honorable mentions list, even though I already mentioned a few, and I could go on all day because there's so many that I enjoyed. In fact, the new movie Host on Shudder, I would definitely recommend to found footage fans. Very, very effective film, and especially look into how it was made. Impressive, to say the least. But yeah, so these are just the ones, obviously, that really made an impact on me one way or the other. I'm going to put the first one at number 10 because it's a film I've only seen once, but and that's because I genuinely don't feel like watching it again. But I have to put it on here because of the impact it had on me. I can't put it up higher because I can't say I enjoyed watching it. In fact, pretty much the opposite. This film gave me horrendous anxiety, a full panic attack, and I was freaking the fuck out when I was watching it because it upset me so much. So it had to make the list, but I didn't want to put it too high because I can't say that I enjoyed watching it. So I wouldn't say it's like my favorite, but it's the most effective one I've ever watched, and that is Megan is Missing. If you've watched my channel enough, you know how much this movie fucked me up. Dad of kids, dad, there was something about it. And people always talk about how shitty the acting is and this and that. For me, they just feel like genuine asshole teenage girls. Like, it's just, they feel like little bitches. Like a lot of these misled youth act. So for me, when they're like, I don't buy the acting in this, I think there's shit at this and that, I watch it and I'm like, they're annoying, but they're fucking like 13-year-old girls. I mean, that's what they do. So for me, it felt very realistic. And it's like this little girl who's being bullied and then she's taken advantage of by online predators. And there's just a couple scenes in the movie that haunted me when I was watching, just fucked me up beyond repair. I was just sitting there like, those times in movies when you just like, you're watching and it's for entertainment and everything, and then just something hits you and you're just like, this really happens. Like, there's one thing when you're watching something and it's disturbing and it's fucked up and you're just not connecting those dots. But for some reason, this movie made me connect the dots more than most films ever have, where I was like, this kind of shit happens. Little girls like this are, lured by online predators, and they brutally torture and murder them. And it just, I don't know, it really got in my head and it really fucked me up. I think it was the way I was feeling when I was watching it too. I wasn't feeling very well. I was already having a really bad day of anxiety and blah, blah, blah. And I hadn't slept well, so I was like very susceptible. And when I put that on, man, I just freaked out. So I had to put it on the list, but I can't put it too high because it's not a film. I'll probably watch it again one day, but man, it fucked me up. 7 fucked you up that bad? Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's definitely scenes in 7 that are extremely disturbing, no doubt about it. Fantastic film, though. I mean, 10 out of 10. I'd argue to put it in the top 20 films I've ever made. I think, you know, along with like Silence of the Lambs or something. Like, I just think it's perfect. Perfect. I mean, I couldn't, you know. Amber Alert, I liked it. I liked Amber Alert. I liked Amber Alert. All right. Next up, number 9. This was a film that I just loved the concept of. And I think the reason I love the concept of this film so much was because it's like, it felt like me. It felt like the, you know, the guy who never believes in anything to the point where it's to his detriment. And this is a movie called The Possession of Michael King. And what happens in The Possession of Michael King is something tragic happens to him. And he's so distraught and so overwhelmed. It kind of reminds me a little bit of 1408. And there's a reason that I love 1408 so much. And it's because of that pessimist. It's because of that, you know, that guy that really, truly just does not believe in anything. And so, because this horrible thing happens to him, much unlike 1408, he goes out and he seeks the supernatural. He's there to buy, you know, he's there to prove it's bullshit. But deep down, he wants it to be real because he wants to know that what happened isn't permanent, that there's something out there. Just like in 1408 with Michael Insuline, you know, his daughter dies and he can't fucking handle it. And so he goes out and he does absolutely everything in his power to try to find if there's ghosts, if there's some afterlife, anything. And he's searching and he's searching. And he's becoming more and more pissed off, realizing that there isn't. Like, no matter where he goes, the most haunted places on earth, he finds nothing. And then when he finally finds something, of course, he's not really that fond of it. But in this one, this guy goes out, Michael King goes out, and he starts having like every curse ritual performed on him. Yes, the John Cusack movie, 1408. He starts like having voodoo curses put on him. He starts going out and having everything done to him to prove it's bullshit. He's like, this is bullshit. Nothing's going to happen to me. Check this out. And he documents to show people how bullshit everything is, to stop believing in the supernatural, in religion, and all. It's all nonsense. So he goes out and he has these curses performed on him and everything. And then of course, you know, they start to fuck with him and they start to, you know, maybe they're coming true, and then throughout the film they do. But I just love that. I love the non-believer who goes in, because I can relate to that. I'm the non-believer of non-believers. So I can always relate to that character. And when this movie was made, there was something about this guy and the way he was, you know, handling this stuff, and I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So Possession of Michael King, it's one that's never talked about. Now, my most watched video that I've ever made is the 10 lesser known found footage films. That shit still gets comments almost daily. And I made it over 2.5 years ago. I get a comment on it at least 2 or 3 times a week. People fucking love that video. So I need to make an updated, new 10 more lesser known found footage films. I definitely have 10, so I'll have to make another one. Another film that would be on that list, I think, is number 8 here, and this is a laptop horror, so, you know, but it's still found footage. It would still fall under that banner, so to speak, and that is The Den. The Den is just a really, really atmospheric, creepy-ass film. It's all done on a girl's laptop. It mostly unbeknownst to her. Number captured, you fuck. That movie's horrible. Anyway, sorry. But yeah, The Den, it's just, I don't, you know, really the premise of it is this girl is just getting her laptop hacked, and we see through her computer her life and how these people are fucking with her, and she kind of stumbles upon something that she shouldn't, and it's just excellent. It's a really great laptop horror, found footage movie, whatever. It's been a while since I've seen it. I really need to watch it again, but I've seen it a couple times, and both times I watched it, I absolutely loved it. So I do own it, and I will review it soon enough. All right, number 7. This is a film that you would not expect to be this high or low. As I say, I never know how to say that, but yeah, we'll just say it outright. It's the Blair Witch Project. Yes, I would expect you guys to think that this would be much higher, towards number 1 or 2 or something. I really enjoy this movie, but you have to understand, I love found footage films. So I think that's a testament to how good found footage has become, that the Blair Witch Project, kind of the mother of found footage films. I know Cannibal Holocaust, everybody's got their heart on for the movie. I don't like Cannibal Holocaust very much. But that's my own thing. There's things about it I like, but I can't say I enjoy watching it, especially like that fucking dissection of the turtle scene. Fuck that, man. I had to fast forward that. I couldn't even watch it. Horrible. I don't want to watch like literal animals tortured on fucking film. Absolutely not. But yeah, the Blair Witch Project. I mean, what can I say about this movie? It really is just kind of the film that got the craze. I shouldn't say it's the film that got the craze started, but it's the film that got interest in the genre, like the subgenre, should I say. Paranormal Activity is definitely the film that spawned the found footage, subgenre's explosion of the 2010s. Like when Blair Witch came out, that shit blew up. Like every film started going found footage after that. It wasn't until then, because I want to say Paranormal Activity was made in 2007. I don't think it hit theaters till 2009. And then it was like every film after that for years was found footage. Blair Witch, though, I mean, as popular as it was, it didn't really spawn a lot of found footage. I mean, like right after the Blair Witch came out, like everyone was like, like desperate for another one. Like, well, can we find other ones? And really all you had at that time was that and the one I just mentioned, which was, fuck am I thinking of right now? I'm talking about too many titles right now. I can't even keep my fucking head straight. But I love the characters. I think that's what I really enjoy about Blair Witch, because Blair Witch is such a basic film. There's not a lot going on. You never see a single thing in the film. It's as bare bones as a found footage film can be, but it kind of lays the groundwork for what would become a subgenre that I love so much. So even though it's lower, and I would expect people to think it would be higher, it's just because other films have kind of perfected the foundation that Blair Witch set. So as much as I love the Blair Witch, I just feel like it's lackluster in areas. And although I do really enjoy revisiting it, because I do like Heather, I do like Josh, I do like Mike, and I love like the interviews in the beginning. I love all their dialogue. It's very iconic to me. Any line from the film feels iconic to me. And the whole ending, the ending is great, but I really like the Blair Witch franchise. I saw somebody talking shit about Blair Witch 2. You guys know how I feel about that movie. I love all three, so yeah, moving on. All right, number 6, M. Night Shyamalan's The Visit. This film fucking surprised the hell out of me. I went into this, now M. Night Shyamalan was somebody who was getting shit on right and left, after he made like Lady in the Water and The Happening, and Last Airbender and whatever. And so when I saw he was making a found footage horror flick, I was like, interesting. Not something I ever expected in a million years from this guy. And I went to the theater, just, like, fuck it, it's a new one. It's PG-13 too. So like I went to the theater and I was just like, PG-13, M. Night Shyamalan found footage, how could this be? Whoa. incredible. I mean, it seriously blew me away. I thought it was so well constructed, so well conceived. I thought the twist was great. I thought the characters were great. I mean, I really just don't have anything bad to say about the film. I think the only gripe I've seen people have is like, they don't like the rapping kid. I thought his rapping was funny. Like it entertained me in the theater. I was laughing. This is actually I think this is the only movie I've ever seen where I was in the theater. I was on break from work. We had like a big gap in my day or something, and it was playing at the theater right across the street from my salon. And I was like, oh fuck, I can catch it. And like I ran over, and I started watching it. And about 10 minutes into the movie, I look over, and like 2 rows ahead of me on my left is my father. And I was like, what? What the fuck are you doing in here? And like I came over and sat next to him, and he's like, oh, I got a break between my clients. So I ran over and I was gonna check this out. We both did the same thing, but we didn't know that we were both going to the same movie. We didn't see each other come into the theater or anything. I just so happened to see him in the theater. So, and he loved it too. He was like, I can't believe it. That was great. And I was like, wasn't it? That was so fun. It was the ending, man, just like the reveal. And you want to talk about subtle, great ambiance in horror. This movie features one of the best shots that I've seen in any found footage film and in any horror I've ever watched. I'm not trying to get into spoilers for the film, but I hope you've seen The Visit by now. I think it's like 2015. So it's only 5 years old, but still. There's a scene, I'll just say that someone opens a door and there's someone hanging in the background. There's like no attention drawn to it at all. Your eyes just find it. And it's as eerie and creepy as humanly possible. I mean, I just when I saw it, I was like, oh shit. That is freaky as hell. So yeah, I really like the characters. I really like everything about it. And I thought they got away with a decent amount for the PG-13 rating. And then like when they're under the house and the grandma like runs at them, I was like, what the hell? Is this chick like supernatural? What the hell is happening right now? Anyway. All right, number 5, another film that absolutely surprised the hell out of me. Now, the way the story goes with this film is I lived with a couple guys, the guys that I showed a Serbian film to when I was kind of auditioning to go live with them. And we were all hanging out, and we would like to throw on movies in the background while we were hanging out and talking. And so we didn't know what this movie was. It was just new on Netflix, and we threw it on, and we were all just chatting, chit-chatting, talking shit, whatever. And it was like 10 minutes in, 15 minutes in, and like we typically would throw on kind of shittier movies, like we didn't really care to watch, but we just have them in the background, almost like music, just to kind of set the, fill the dead air if anyone like stopped talking. You know what I mean. And so we just throw on random shit. And so we threw this movie on, and like usually we'd just talk. And like as the movie was playing, people would just stop talking, like a little less, and a little more attention, a little more attention, a little more attention. By about like 30, 40 minutes in, everyone was so engaged, and the girls we were watching with were screaming at the top of their lungs. And when that movie was over, people were like, holy shit, that was amazing, what the hell? And that film is Grave Encounters. Man, I had no idea what this movie was when it was put on. I'd never heard of it, nothing, none of us had. I don't know how it completely slipped by me. It was just released that day, but it just dropped out of nowhere, and I was like, all right, whatever this is, throw it on. And I've watched it like 5 times since. I love the characters. I love Lance Preston. I love the effects of the ghosts. I love the gags. I love the reveal of the the mirror image of the hotel on top, the asylum on top of itself. Like when they kick that door open and it's just the lobby of the place again, and it's just, that shit tripped me out, and I loved it. Love it. but of course, I mean, I should stop saying that because it's a top 10 list. Of course, I love all of these films, but this one shocked me. It shocked me because I'd never heard of it. I threw it on with friends randomly, and all of us were so engaged and so into it throughout the whole rest of the film once we all started paying attention. Because it was like, I think someone said, like, shit, man, we shouldn't talk, man. We should be watching this. This is actually pretty damn good. You know, because at first it starts off kind of playful and hokey, and I was like, this is just some kind of like parody movie, whatever. Because that's kind of how it plays out. Lance Preston and his Grave Encounters crew are very hokey. They're trying to kind of emulate that like Ghost Hunters show or whatever. And I'm like, this is just going to be some silly parody. But not at all. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Like it's genuinely kind of funny in the beginning, and then it's genuinely kind of terrifying for the rest of the film. And the gags they set up in this movie are really, really well done. I like the second one a decent amount, but it's just nowhere near as good as the first one. And I really do hope one day that that they'll make a third. But you know, for now, I love the first and I like the second. So, all right, moving on. Number 4. Now, okay, I know this is a horror list, but for me, this is a thriller. I'm not going to argue it's horror, but here we go again. As a father, this film was anxiety-inducing the entire fucking movie. The entire film, I was like literally on the edge of my seat, like, holy shit, okay. This is so masterfully done. This is so well acted. This is so unbelievably well executed that I could almost put this as like number 1. It's phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal filmmaking. The way that they utilize certain elements, like the opening, the way they introduce characters and the way they introduce stories and backgrounds, brilliant. And yes, everyone's already guessed, Searching. It is seriously such a fantastic film. I went and saw this in the theater by myself. I see most movies by myself, but when I say by myself, I mean like the theater was empty. It was like just me. And I sat there and it actually pissed me off. Because I was like, I think something really lame was playing that day too. And of course that shit was packed. Like everyone was there and everyone went and saw that. And I went and saw Searching. And I was just like, every single person. I almost wanted to get up and walk into the other theater and be like, everyone get the fuck up and get in this theater over here and watch Searching. This movie is incredible. You shouldn't be watching this shit. You should be watching this shit. It felt so passionate about when I was watching it. And I've watched it since, and it still holds up so well. It has so many great twists and turns. It's so tense. As I said, it's so well acted. John Cho does such a fantastic job. And as a parent, you're so engaged because it plays with this idea of like, do you really know who your daughter is? Have you paid good enough attention? Have you let that kind of slip through the cracks? And as I said, that like opening sequence, when they use the technology of the time in which these scenes would have taken place. So they kind of like boot up this computer and you get to see memories through different types of technology. And it sets that mood and it shows you where our characters have been, but it shows it in such a heartfelt, genuine way that you're so engaged and you're so with these characters within 5 minutes. I mean, I have seen films try to have character development for half a movie and not hit the levels of connection I felt to these characters within just a couple minutes of some fucking like laptop footage. Incredible stuff. I mean, just incredible filmmaking, the testament to incredible editing and you know, really thoughtful direction, writing, whatever. So in a fantastic film, and everybody should see it. All right, and that's yet another laptop horror, or thriller, should I say. It's not really horror. But this one is laptop horror and another film that blew me away. I've seen it like 4 times now. And this is a film that I expected to be shit. I really did. I went into this movie thinking, there's no way this is going to be good. There's no way this is going to be good. And the entire time I was sitting there, I was just like, this is so well conceived, so well constructed, so unbelievably atmospheric. The arc of the tension throughout this film was, I think, its crowning achievement. And that is, of course, Unfriended, as people are guessing. But Unfriended has this incredible way of setting its tone in the beginning and building this creepy atmosphere that just slowly builds throughout, and just kind of climaxes. And that is extremely effective horror filmmaking. That's old school horror filmmaking. That is just a gradual rise to a climax. Most horror these days is like peaks and valleys. It's big scare, back down, big scare, back down. But this film is beautifully constructed. I've called it, like, I've even went as far as to say it's like a masterpiece of what it was going for. I don't think it could have been any better for what it is. I really don't. I think it is the perfect example of a laptop horror film. Like, I just don't see anything it's kind of like Jaws. It's kind of like, it's the best shark movie that can't be touched, or The Exorcist or something. It's just like, it defines that subgenre. And for me, that is Unfriended with, laptop horror. All right, next up, a film that all of you would think would be number 1, but I cheated. I'm a cheating bastard, and I apologize to all of you beforehand. I'm a cheat. I'm a low-down, dirty cheat. That being said. So this would be number 1 because this is my favorite one. But we'll get to number 1 and I'll show you my reasoning. Okay. So as all of you would think, the Last Exorcism is number 2. The Last Exorcism, yet another film. I think that's another thing with film. Expectations. Expectations are, like, so important to film, because when you go in expecting nothing and the film is so damn good, it elevates the film even higher than if you went in with moderate or high expectations. Now, of course, it's incredible when you have extremely high expectations and they're met. That, obviously doesn't happen that much for a lot of people. But when you have 0 expectations, or even like below 0, and you're like, this is not going to be good, these films can really just like blow you away. So The Last Exorcism, I think there's so many reasons why this film really landed for me. The performance, I've said this before, but the performance between Cotton and Ashley Bell, Nell's character, is so fantastic that I could watch a movie with them for just hours and hours. There's something so charismatic, so real. Like, Cotton's very charismatic. He's very funny. He's very genuine, and I believe his journey. I believe his desire to prove exorcism for the sham that it really is, as he says in the film. Like, I really believe that with his family, his love for everything, and his loss of faith. He's this kid who is this preacher at a very young age, and he lost his faith along the way. He read this newspaper article where they killed, I think it was an autistic kid, and he was like, that's it. I can't do it anymore. I'm not gonna work for this anymore, and I'm gonna expose this thing. And so he goes out to the Switzer farm, and he meets Nell, and he meets her dad and her brother, and just it's so well done. the performances, I think, are what has elevated it to the level that it is. I also think that it's a very creepy film, but it's just the performances. I care so much for Nell in this movie. I feel so bad for her. She's such a sweetheart. When the girl gives her boots and she's so excited about, like, oh my God, it's the nicest thing anyone's ever done for me, and she like puts them on and she like just gives this genuine laugh. You're like, oh my God, this is the sweetest little girl I've ever fucking seen in my life. And then there's this, this demon that's inside of her that's wrecking her. And then the twists and turns of like, is this really happening? Or is this psychosis? Is this because the dad has molested her? Or is this because, whatever? And it really goes back and forth and plays with it. The only complaint I have of the film is the very, very ending. I do wish that the film was more ambiguous. I think it would have been better had it had more of a Candyman type ending where it leaves you going, oh shit, did that really happen or did it not really happen? So the kind of the ending that it has where it's very definite, I don't like that as much. It's not my favorite. So that's the only issue I have with the film, but it really doesn't affect the film for me that much, enough to bring it down any lower. It's always been considered my favorite found footage film, just because I love the characters so much, and I love the back and forth and the twists and turns. Like when she shows up at his hotel and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? And the fact that they were to pull this all off with PG-13 yet again is another incredible thing to me. So really kudos to the filmmakers for this one. Unfortunately, the second one is not good. And that's a super, super bummer. By the way, my list, I wrote on a fucking Post-it note. Real quality operation I got going here. All right, number one, the Cheetah Cheats. The Paranormal Activity franchise. Yep, I put an entire fucking franchise. Because, okay, here's the thing. I didn't want to put a bunch of Paranormal Activities on here. I just didn't want to do it. Because I was like, oh man, I really want to put the first one. And I'm definitely putting the third, and I'm definitely putting the fifth. Because I love the third, I love the fifth, and I love the first. I really like the second, I like the fourth, and I like the sixth. And I'm very much looking forward to the seventh. But 1, 3, and the marked ones, I adore. And I was just like, I can't put all three of these on here. Like, I'm just going to be like, all right, number 3, Paranormal Activity. Number 2, that just wouldn't be fun to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to put it all together in a franchise. As a franchise, it's the only real found footage franchise. Like, there's only, I don't know of any other franchises besides VHS that has more than 2 movies outside of like really low budget stuff. Like really, really low budget stuff like the Bad Ben series or the Blackwell Ghost, I think is one. And they have like 4. Oh, LLC has 3. Hell House LLC has 3, I guess. But Paranormal Activity is really one of the only ones that has a lot in it, and I just genuinely enjoy a lot of them. Cloverfield, of course, but Cloverfield's only found footage for the first one. But yeah, Cloverfield's another one that I definitely enjoy. But the Paranormal Activity franchise, I'm a very big fan of it. I love the connectivity. I like what Chris Landon did with 2 through 5. Just kind of connecting everything together, really taking this very basic concept of the first one and taking little bits of information from Oren Peli's first film and being like, oh, Katie has a sister. Okay, I'll make this second movie about the sister, and I'll set it before the first one, and then it'll end after the first one, and it'll kind of play off of those events. And then the third one, which I don't know any other franchise in the history of film that's ever made a movie, a prequel, and then a prequel to the prequel. Do you know any other franchise that's ever done that? That plays completely in reverse? I know of none. You could be like, oh, well, Star Wars did 4, 5, 6, then 1, 2, 3. But I know no film that made a film, then a prequel, then a prequel to that prequel. Anybody? I mean, as I said, yes, Star Wars, as I said, Ashley, but to me, they made 3 films in succession that were one after the other after the other. Because then you could say that with the Lord of the Rings, right? The Hobbit did it too. So you got 3 films concurrently that were, straight, linear, and then you got 3 prequels to that. So that's not what I'm talking about. I just mean a film, then prequel. That's crazy. You say Annabelle? Yeah, so Conjuring, and then Annabelle is kind of a prequel to the Conjuring, right? Yeah, because it tells the story of before that, and then how they got the doll, right? And then Annabelle Creation is even before that. Okay, that's a good point. Okay, I could go with that. That makes sense. It's a spin-off, but I think technically it works. So yeah, it's very rare though, and I've talked plenty about Paranormal Activity 1, 3, and 5. I love everything about the characters. I love Dennis from part 3. I love Hector from part 5. I love, there's so many great comedy bits. There's so many great gags. I love the franchise. How do I feel about Rec? I covered Rec 1, 2, and 3. VHS, I really enjoy VHS. It's another film that I would definitely put in the franchise somewhere in the top 15 or so. I really enjoy it. I will cover those soon. I really, really want to cover the VHS franchise. I think that those would be fun. I have seen The Conspiracy. It's great. The first 45 minutes of it is basically like a recap of that movie, the documentary Zeitgeist. It's almost identical. So somebody was definitely watching Zeitgeist before they wrote The Conspiracy. But The Conspiracy is very good. It did make my top 10 lesser known found footage list. So yeah, very, very good. I could put, every film on that list from Afflicted to Exists to Mr. Jones to Lunopolis to The Monster Project to, there's a ton of films that I dig the shit out of. Chronicle, I think that's more like action, right? That's more like superhero stuff. It's a good film. Josh Trank, unfortunately, can't seem to make a good movie since, but there you go. What was the name of what? Of the husband in PA2? What was his name? Michael? Mark? Something like that. Can't remember. I do like him, though. He's funny. Oh, Dan. Maybe. I think I'm confusing it with Mika. Mika. Yeah, Mika's the guy in the first, and then Dan. That sounds right. You should confirm that. But I do like. I think there's some really funny lines in that when he's he's accusing his daughter of leaving a stenchilada in the toilet, and then when he says he's gonna release the crack into his wife and all that stuff. Some funny lines in there for sure. Have I ever seen Mom, Mother of Monsters? No. He was kind of good, but somewhat of a douche. Kind of. I think he's just not a non-believer. I think that he's a little harsh on his nanny maid. But I totally get it. He's just like, you can't do that shit in here. I've told you time and time again. But I don't know. There's so many fun lines in that movie. I could go on and on about them, but I'm not gonna waste your time. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to cut this fairly short today, guys. I wanted to just do a quick live one and get this list done for you. I'm gonna go, as usual, play Apex Legends with my brother. But I'm trying to stay consistent. I was gonna do this yesterday, guys. I seriously had the fucking hardest day today at work. I was so overwhelmed. I was so tired by the end of the day that I was telling Ashley, we were texting back and forth before this, and I was like, oh my God, I'm so burnt. So what happened here? Let me tell you really quick what happened. So try to make sense of this to me. Little salon talk for you guys. This is where the numbers just start dropping off the screen. Everyone's like, I don't give a shit. Shout out from Vancouver. Hey, thank you, Tetro. So a chick comes in today, and so when you're a hairdresser, people come in, and the best way, for anybody who wants to know, the best thing you can do for a hairdresser is if you want to try to tell them what you want, show them a picture. Show them a picture. It's very simple. That's what we want. We want to see a picture. We want to be able to compare. Okay, show us the color. Don't get fucking ridiculous about it. You see how, like, you see this little color, like, right here, and they'll, like, zoom in on, like, this one right here. I kind of want that color, like, on this hair, like, this one. You see this hair right here? Can you make this hair that color? Just this one, though. And then this one, and they'll switch to another picture. I want this one, that. Fuck off. Anyway. So you bring in a picture, right? And you show the picture to me, and I go, okay, I can replicate that because you show me that picture. Cool, awesome, especially if it's of you. Then I can easily replicate it because you have that hair. Don't get false expectations. You cannot fucking have the hair of other people, especially when you're 60 and you're bald and you're like, hey, can you make me look like fucking Chewbacca? No, I cannot. No, the fuck I cannot. Anyway, so she shows me a picture of herself, right? And she goes, I want this. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let me do that. Boom! I do it exact. Perfection. This is what the picture is. If I would have fucking taken a picture of it and I would have put it side by side and I would have showed it to people, people would have been like, oh, fuck! Why are you showing me the same picture twice? Why do I need to see two of the same picture? And I'd be like, it's not the same picture. I'm just that fucking good. But then when I get done perfecting this shit, she goes, oh, are you going to cut my hair? Are you going to cut my hair? Are you going to cut my hair? I just spent 30 fucking minutes cutting your hair. What are you talking about? I actually said, what I said to her is, are you fucking serious? Like, all right, I didn't say fucking, but I was like, are you serious? What do you think I've been doing for the last 30 minutes back here with my scissors? Fucking cutting the foreskin off of myself? Like, what is it that you think is happening here? So anyways, she's like, oh, well, I want it really short. On the side here, it's supposed to be shorter and like, asymmetrical and this and that. And I'm like, that's not what your picture shows. And she goes, oh, well, that's not what I wanted. What I wanted is this picture. She fucking pulls her phone up and she's like, oh yeah, not that one. I want this one. Fucking pulls up a completely different picture, a completely different haircut, and it's like, oh, well, this is what I'm looking for. And I'm like, oh, that's cool, that's what you're looking for? I'm fucking sorry. I didn't read your goddamn fucking crazy mind where you decided to show me a picture of the cut you didn't want, so then you could then wait until I was fucking finished. Not I cut, and then she was like, oh, are you gonna cut any more? No, she fucking waits for me to blow dry the entire thing, style it out, fucking, texturize, personalize, hairspray it, everything. And then she goes, are you gonna cut it? Are you gonna fucking cut it? Yeah, I'm sorry. I style the entire fucking thing first, right? That's what I do. This is a new technique in the salon. I sit back here with 30 minutes with scissors pretending to cut your hair. Then I fucking style it. And then I'm like, now I'm going to cut it. That's the way fucking salons work now. Just in case you're wondering. That was my day. And then she ran me 30 fucking minutes behind. And if you're a hairdresser, you know that when you run 30 minutes behind, your whole fucking day is 30 minutes behind. And I don't give a shit what you do. You can never catch up. Never. No matter how fast you fucking work, you can never catch up. You want to talk about horror? I should have recorded that. I would have had a found footage fucking film and would have stabbed her in the goddamn head at the end. Anyways, guys, I gotta go. Love you all. Be better to your hairdressers. Please. If you want, just show them the right picture. Never had that happen. I'm frustrated. All right, guys. Thank you, Night. I got Source in here. I've got Mo Green Glasses. I got Danny. I got Pix. Man, we got a lot of cool people in here. Good night. Oh, Courtney. Hey. I love the idea of somebody starting, watching at the end. Love for Miami. Thank you, Mr. Funky Nuts. Man, you got to wash those nuts, man. Did she tip? Honestly, I don't care. I don't remember. I don't remember. I was just like, get the fuck out. I gotta go. So maybe. She probably did. Hi, Ashley, by the way. Good night, guys.